Now there's a bit of a theme going on with both this car, the Audi R8 rear-wheel drive performance, and this one, the Audi RS4. They are extremely good performance cars. They're extremely quick. We talk about their versatility, we talk about their speed, we talk about how they feel. But what we don't really talk about probably is how economical are they? Now, in this video, I'm going to be taking this, the Audi RS4, from here just outside the Nürburgring, all the way back home to, well, just outside of London, Maidenhead Heathrow area. And we're going to try and do it on one tank. Oh God, I need this. I'm absolutely shattered, as you can see by my eyes, hence the sunglasses. Okay, so we are completely full of fuel right now. My full tank on the RS4 states that I have 510 kilometers of fuel, and journey home is 571 kilometers of fuel. Now, I think that this will be okay, if I'm completely honest, bar any hiccups that we get, and I'll touch on what they could be when we pull out onto the motorway. But what the car is already used to doing is calculating my average MPG based on how I've driven it. Now, bear in mind that I've been driving back and forth to the ring yesterday, and I also reviewed the car. The average consumption is going to be much lower than I'd expect it to be. So yeah, look, the short-term consumption on, the mid-term consumption on this car is around 22 miles per gallon. Let me just show you. There we go. 22 miles per gallon based off of 13 hours worth of driving and 900 kilometers total. That's from when I set off from the UK. But I think this will be a harder trek because just the patience needed. But yeah, let's get going. And yeah, I think we'll be okay. I hope. So this is one of those painful moments where I've got a 3-lane autobahn, an empty road because it's 7:45 in the morning on a Sunday and half of Germany's asleep or at the ring, and I'm cruising in the slow lane at 125 kilometers per hour. Now, I do have a video where I absolutely spanked this car up here. If I haven't put it there, it's on the channel, go watch it. But for the pleasure of your viewing, I will insert a clip of this car hooning down the autobahn from that video, because I'm not going to do it now. I need the fuel. I need to make this on one tank. I'm really confident that we can do it. Now, there's a couple of places where I feel that this could go wrong. This is one of them. If I lose my patience and I decide to slap my foot on the accelerator and just hoon it, because autobahns will absolutely destroy your range very, very quickly. Oh, excuse me. Oh, excuse me. Last night at the ring, my pollen hay fever, it was going absolutely mental. So yeah, this bit here, if I lose my patience, it could go wrong. The next place I feel it could go wrong is naturally any traffic build-up, and the next likely place where that could happen will be around Brussels, and then Bruges, and the big kicker will be on the French side of the Eurotunnel, because it is Sunday, it is the day after the Champions League final. There's a lot of people travelling because it's school half term, and what I don't want to be doing is being stuck back and forth with start-stop traffic, because that will hurt. The final place will be the M25 back in the UK. How is that in terms of traffic? And whether or not the M4 is closed, because it is the weekend. So yeah, there is a few things that could go wrong, but also I'm quietly confident that we'll be able to do this.
I'd made it out of Germany and resisted temptation to absolutely annihilate all of my fuel on that empty autobahn. Believe me, it was much harder than it looked. I'd made my way through towards Brussels and the Ring Road, and whilst I was expecting a lot of traffic here, it was actually not that bad. I'd found myself a little strategy where I reduced my speed to 117 km per hour and allowed for everybody else to overtake me. Whilst it was painfully slow and I think everybody started to look at me like I was some sort of idiot, it was giving me the much needed average MPG to get through the Ring Road and head towards Calais.
Well, it was all going far too well. It was bound to happen a bit of traffic. However, we've got to take some serious positives right now, because I don't think this is going to be too long. This looks like it's 2 lanes into 1. We are doing extremely well. Extremely well. So I'm currently 278 kilometers from home. We now have 360 kilometers left of fuel, so I've built up almost an 80 kilometer buffer for things like this, which is start stop, and still don't know what's to come when we get to the Eurotunnel, because that could be very start stop. So all in all, I think we're doing good. It's been painful. Has it been fun so far? No. Is it doable? Technically, yes, I think it is. Although I'm going to caveat, and I'll talk about it a little bit later, because where I started the timer, or the mileage count per se, was where I filled up with fuel, which is actually, I think it's around 80 kilometers away from the Nürburgring. So in theory, where I'm at right now is bang on, if that makes sense. Because it would mean that I will get from the ring to home and have 0 left in the tank. But anyway, I'll overlay something here so you can see the actual distance. Right, let's hopefully get through this and let's not lose too much range. Okay, so we have arrived through the Flexi Plus lane. It's actually not too bad. It's starting to pick up here though. So we're looking all right, guys. 222 kilometers showing there, 350 kilometers worth of range. Average consumption, where are we? Average consumption 37.3 with half a tank remaining. Merci. Okay. Right, managed to stretch my legs, managed to load up on my Flexi Plus, and now we're going to quickly rush to get on the train. But I can quickly talk about the comfort. It's not been the most exciting journey here so far, but I'm super impressed with the amount of MPG we've got out of it. But more importantly, the comfort factor. It's been really comfortable. I've had the massage seats on pretty much the entire time, so I feel like I've been sitting in a lounge or something. But yeah, no, it's lovely. And it looks so good. It turns so many heads in this turbo blue color. Interior as well. It's very, very nice. I mean, these seats in the Napa leather, extremely comfy. As you can see here, my little massage button. But yeah, let's not rest on our laurels. Let's jump back in. Let's go. So we made it. We made it on 1 tank of fuel. Now, the 4 places where I thought I'd have some trouble, I only had real trouble in one, which is the M25. You can always rely on the M25 to do you over, but Autobahn, I resisted temptation. Brussels was pretty okay, to be fair, and the Eurotunnel, surprisingly, was actually pretty easy to get through. So all in all, I guess you want to know like how much is left. From the hotel, or to be fair, from the point where I filled up with fuel, I had 571 kilometers to get here. However, it calculates an additional amount of distance to go through the actual tunnel. And let's face it, I wasn't driving through the tunnel, so you've got to take away some of those kilometers. So the actual route from fill up to home was 511 kilometers. Now, from the Nürburgring to home, minus the Eurotunnel distance, is 613 kilometers. So the difference is 102k. So the question is, did we make it with at least 102 kilometers left on the clock? We made it with 220 kilometers minus 102, 118 kilometers left in the tank. That is insanely good for the fact that this is a 2.9 litre V6. The average MPG, 37.4 miles to the gallon, 7 hours and 12 minutes of driving. And if you're interested, the long term, which has been the entire trip, I averaged 27.1 miles to the gallon across 20 hours of driving and 1,412 kilometers. So what have we learned from this experiment? Absolutely nothing. If you have an Audi RS car, you do not care about using more than 1 tank of fuel. You're doing it because you love the car. The only scenario where you're going to find this experiment beneficial is if you go to the Nürburgring, you do a load of laps, you waste all your money, and you've only got enough for 1 tank, and you live here in my house, because that's the distance we calculated. Other than that, completely pointless. But would I do it again? No. I won't be doing this again. Next time around, I will just drive how I normally drive home, within the speed limit-ish, and not struggle so much with the start-stop, because that's where it's painful, slowly bleeding the accelerator. Oh, it's frustrating. If you want to see this car being driven properly around some mountain roads, launches, the lot, a full review, then check out the previous video on my channel, because it's a full review of this car from here to Germany with a lot more action than this one. But this one, for the purposes of educational reasons, we did it, we completed it. Nürburgring to home in 1 tank of fuel from an RS4, which has a 2.9 litre V6 with 450 brake horsepower.